Hi there, I'm Cameron Uganic, Vice President of Marketing at Later, and it's my pleasure to introduce Jason Maldonado. He's Mailchimp's Senior Manager of Social Media. It's a pleasure to have you here at LaterCon.
So excited to be here.
Yeah, so I think what I really want to talk to you about is one thing that Mailchimp and Later have in common is this belief that social can be a really powerful tool for small business.
Absolutely.
I think the key for it to be that is that you need to have a plan, you need to have a strategy. And you need to follow a full funnel marketing approach.
Yes.
And I know this is something that's really important to Mailchimp and is a big part of as you evolve and expand to being an all-in-one platform. So I'd love for you to just give us kind of the high-level context of what a full funnel marketing plan looks like if you're a marketer.
I think understanding a full funnel approach is really, really important. So, we obviously really support entrepreneurs, small businesses, and hoping to get them to medium-sized businesses as well. So, at the very end of the funnel, the broad end of the funnel is a lot of individuals, maybe prospects or maybe unfamiliar with your brand. You really want to reach those individuals and move them more to the center where they consider your brand, they're interested in your brand, they like your brand perhaps. And then really you want to move them obviously to acquisition. They purchase something, they're following your brand, maybe they just enjoy your brand or they recommend your brand. Once you get them there, then of course you want to continue to make them happy and keep retention really high for them. For Mailchimp and our all-in-one marketing platform, we offer products that really can allow you to reach individuals no matter where you are in the funnel and no matter where your business is, whether you're an entrepreneur thinking about starting, maybe you have started and you're day one, or maybe you already have a small business and you're looking to kind of grow or expand how you can reach and sell to new users.
Yeah, I think once you understand that interplay between different channels and what you're trying to do in terms of each stage of the funnel, that's where you can start really driving business results.
Absolutely.
And drive results that really are aligned with your business goals as opposed to just vanity metrics on social.
And you probably don't, here's the thing, a lot of the entrepreneurs and small business I know, they're not necessarily always marketing individuals. They don't have a marketing background. And so for them, they just have something they're passionate about a lot of times, or they have, they're dreamers in many cases that are just really excited about something. You're not expected to be a marketer. Mailchimp, we have an amazing resource articles that again span that entire funnel that allows individuals, if you're not really aware, to go in and read up and make yourself at least a little bit more knowledgeable on how you can move from people from here to here, which is great. Yeah.
I know Mailchimp has gone through quite an evolution coming from an email background, but now really being an all-in-one platform for marketing. So what advantages do you see that presenting small businesses? Again, following that full funnel approach, how can they use this concept now to drive results?
Yeah, absolutely. So Mailchimp is a all-in-one marketing platform. We offer everything from landing pages to websites to social media ads, social posting, postcards, email, of course. And so when you're a small business out there, you really need to have multiple tools in your marketing mix to move people down from an awareness to consideration to purchasing and retention. And so having all of those tools in one space as opposed to having like 50 tabs open and trying to toggle through multiple things is super helpful. And it also gives you like a condensed reporting, which is great.
Right.
So when you're a small business and you have limited money, limited dollars to spend in marketing, being able to see how everything is working together in a report, single report, is super helpful. So that's what we offer, and small businesses love it, our customers.
And if I could give you a magic wand and you were able to do everything perfectly, you're a small business, maybe you sell t-shirts online.
Yeah, sure.
What would that perfect sort of full funnel strategy look like? What does that interplay between social and the other channels and email specifically look like?
So if I own this type of business, which sounds really exciting, by the way, I
was inspired by your t-shirt.
Oh, it's a Mailchimp t-shirt. It's one of our
That's
brand t-shirts from our Pride event last year, which is
cool.
awesome. Big shout out to our brand team. What I would say, probably, I don't have an email list, I'd assume. So maybe creating a landing page that tells a little bit about my company and what we offer, and probably also connecting to like an e-commerce platform so I can actually have a place to sell my product, which would be super helpful. From there, since I don't have an audience or an email list, maybe running social or digital media ads to potentially bring in people, right, to my e-commerce platform or to my landing page to start growing my email list. So that really, again, is like the awareness, bringing awareness of your brand and your products, moving them to consideration phase where they say, love that t-shirt, that's awesome, or love this brand, maybe I should sign up for their email newsletter so that way I can keep following them. And then hopefully, because they love the shirt so much, they can kind of use their website and other marketing pieces to potentially move them to purchasing, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, it's great. I know that you might be somewhat limited in terms of what you can share about MailChimp customers and their success, but are there some brands just for you yourself as a consumer that you're like, they're doing it right? They've got that right balance of social and email and the other channels, right?
Yeah, some of the brands that I follow that do things really well, there's a brand called In God We Must, and they sell a lot of apparel and jewelry for both men and women. It's a phenomenal brand. They make sure that their emails are super tailored by like segmenting their audience in the back end, and probably sending like targeting messages to allow an email, a social media ad to speak specifically to a certain type of individual. So for me, like I usually kind of see a lot of their social media ads that are targeted to me, and it has led to many purchases.
Those impulse Instagram purchases.
Yeah. And then there's just fun lifestyle brands out there. So one of my favorite guilty pleasures within the social media space, and they do great targeting, is this thing called Tiny Chef. I'm not sure if you've seen it.
Oh yeah.
But it's just like a little dude, and he's not selling me a product. He's just selling me like just be entertained and love this. And the way I see promoted posts from these individual pieces is just kind of magical. There's also another brand that I think it does a really good job at like kind of combining their targeting messages, both whether it's email, Instagram, or social. That brand is King of Pops, which is local to Atlanta. I think they're moving out nationally as well. I'm saying this because I'm currently on a diet, and so all I can think about is sweets at the moment, if anyone can relate out there. And all I want is one of their fudge popsicles, and I feel like because that's all I want, that's all I see, which is like their latest popsicle flavors, or in this case, like, hey, there's this one on Instagram that they also just have beautiful, beautiful content, which helps.
Right, yeah. So building off of that, can you share some best practices for how Instagram can help brands achieve their business goals? So I think everyone understands it from an awareness perspective, and like conceptually, small businesses are often using it for that. But I think there's so much more you can do from an Instagram perspective. Again, if you're following a plan and a strategy and thinking about all your channels. So what are some of those best practices that you would recommend?
Yeah, eMarketer released like a data point this year that was talking about for brands that start and have the majority of their presence online and sell like maybe one or two products, social media was by far, from those brands, their first year, the most important marketing tool. And a lot of times it's because they might only have one or two products, and so they will do Instagram ads, especially if it's like an apparel piece or something that's not terribly expensive that you can kind of just buy on Instagram and know that like, okay, I'm not breaking the bank with this piece. So running digital ads on Instagram to kind of a site itself is huge. The other piece of it too, in regards to thinking about like the full funnel and the marketing mix as well, is once you start to build up your audience through a platform like Mailchimp, and you start to have a giant, or hopefully big size email list, you can take that list and port it into Facebook and Instagram and target lookalike individuals. So you know, like I've got this base of advocates that really enjoy me. I want to find people like that, right? So I'm going to import my email list into there and then target other individuals wherever you want to target to either find new followers, find new customers. That's awesome. You can also just use this email list to target your existing base on these platforms. I think we've all heard the expression like it takes like 6 to 7 times to like hit a user with a message before it actually sticks. And so part of that might be sending your email, sending social media pieces too to remind them of the email or the new product that you just maybe unveiled or campaigned. So there are multiple ways outside of just organic Instagram posting that you can do targeted ads or include it in some type of like full marketing mix approach.
Yeah, one of the things that's been key to our growth is that relationship between social and our newsletter. And I think that maybe in the first phase of social, some people were even calling sort of the death of email from a marketing perspective, and that's just not the case. It's they play well together, and there's a compounding effect, I think, on both the community that's happening on social and what's happening on email. In terms of being able to specifically drive that list, that newsletter list, are there tips that you have in terms of how you can use social to specifically drive a newsletter list or an email list?
The growth of it, yeah, absolutely. So I think having something as simple as like a sign-up form or a pop-up form is really helpful on your site. So that way you can use again social as a way to bring awareness to your brand or product, driving people to your site, getting them to sign up so that way they can continue the journey if they like your brand via your newsletter. We see individuals increase their lists exponentially when they do something as simple as this, which is really, really helpful, especially when you're starting out. So I think that's a great way to kind of use social to kind of build your audience within Mailchimp or another platform to perhaps build it and then take it out, right? And then to be able to use that list to market them on social, to send postcards, which we offer, to send email specific segmented pieces. So there's a lot of really great ways once you kind of do that.
So once you have that strategy in place and you're employing some of those tactics, again, I always want to stress the importance of making sure that your metrics and what your goals are tied to the business objectives. And the closer that you can do that, the better you're going to be able to see results and actually be able to measure ROI and get more resources towards what you're doing. So in order for you to do that, or for other clients, customers that you see, what are the things that you measure? What are the metrics that are important to you from a social perspective?
It really kind of depends on what your objective is. I mean, so if you're starting off and you're trying to acquire customers and that's an acquisition play for you, of course, using social media to kind of drive clicks to wherever you're trying to get them to go, whether it's an e-commerce platform, a landing page, or website. So in that specific case, I would recommend like outbound clicks, which is how it's usually labeled, like on the back end of like Facebook and Instagram specifically. I say outbound clicks because there are different types of clicks you could potentially look at metrics. So as an example, if you have like a single post, you could, and I think the default is just clicks, and you might assume like, oh, I'm getting all these clicks, but they're counting the profile click, the timestamp click, the click within the post. You want outbound clicks because that's going to show you people leaving the platform and going specifically to the destination you want them to go. So I mean, if your intent is like to drive acquisition, I would say outbound clicks is a really great one. If you're just trying to build awareness of your brand, like, hey, we're here, we offer this. Of course, awareness and impressions is also there too, but you might be a small business that needs to start making an impact very quickly so that way you can last a year to 2 years and start building up to new spaces. So I think it really kind of depends. For MailChimp specifically, when we ever create like lifestyle pieces or things that just make people smile, right? To us, that's about engagement. Reach, yes, is important, but also are people commenting with things like, this is funny, this is great, thank you so much. It provides like a little bit of a break in their day from everything else. And then if it's something related to, hey, we just launched being able to publish on Twitter, or we just launched specifically websites, then that's where we're really looking to get people to learn more about that product. So social is really just an avenue for us to drive people to our website to learn more.
Yeah, one thing that I try to stress with the team is that every touch point that we have with a customer is an opportunity to build a relationship.
Absolutely.
And I think that sometimes through the metrics, you kind of lose sight of the fact that we're just marketing to other people and they're human beings on the other side of that screen. And so that pressing of a heart button, that means that you've made some kind of connection.
They've stopped, they've done something.
Yeah, and they've signaled that that's the type of thing that they like.
Yeah.
So, but that's true for social. Obviously, it's very obvious because they can connect. But I think a platform like email as well is another opportunity to show your personality as well, to show that there are humans on both sides of this, that we understand that our customers are there and we're empathetic to what their challenges are and trying to help them, but also that there's Taylor behind our newsletter and she's going to write in her own tone of voice, and have sometimes her own inside jokes that go at the end of the newsletter that sometimes I don't understand, but I'm sure some of our audience gets it.
And if you're doing that in email and in social media, and you start to branch out to new other avenues like postcards, or maybe you're doing other digital ads, I would keep that as a through branding experience. Meaning, like, if you have these very personalized messages, or maybe Taylor specifically, like layers and puns or jokes in there, your user is probably going to become very used to that being an expectation. So if you send a postcard and it seems very way too formal, then it's going to seem off. It's going to seem off brand. So you're going to want to make sure as you move into other avenues, you kind of keep that joy that really made people fall in love with you. And it is possible to do that. I mean, some of my favorite things about Mailchimp when we think about our marketing mix is there's a lot of hidden nuggets on our website. So you may be reading an article, and then somewhere along the way there will be like some really kind of very just simple joke or something that's going to make you smile to break up, I think, a lot of the informative pieces that you're digesting. So,
well, I think Mailchimp is one of the best examples of a brand that really understands empathy and bringing empathy into design and emotive design. I mean, you guys really you wrote the playbook on how to do that, and your brand team is just amazing at what they do.
Thank you. That's very nice.
Take that back. Take them back.
Yeah. Thank you.
So in terms of a big theme of what we've been discussing and that we write a lot about is this shift from away from vanity metrics, away from just seeing Instagram as something that may help you with buzz or awareness. Do you have some key takeaways in terms of if you are a small business trying to make that shift? Again, the examples that you gave, they're past that first phase. They do have some followers now on social. They have set up their aesthetic. They understand that they're consistent, but now they want to, where's the money? How do I drive business results from that? What are the key points that you would share with those businesses?
Specifically with Instagram?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, like using Instagram as a way for people to fall in love with your brand, to visually see what your brand is about, since it's a very visual platform, and then getting them to go off to your website or to your e-commerce platform. I mean, one of my favorite things that Mailchimp uses later for is the link in bio piece that allows us to be able to post multiple times, click on that link, and then be able to, without leaving the platform, go to a series of pieces of content that allows that user to investigate further an individual Instagram post, again, without leaving the experience and breaking it up. So I think that kind of like approach of, hey, we're going to use Instagram again to bring awareness, to get them excited, to fall in love with our brand, to recommend our brand, is going to be something that then allows individuals to go to, all right, I'm going to go experience their .com or see what they're kind of, the value that they're trying to bring me, and then again move them to an advocate or maybe sell something. I think one of the interesting things for me that I take notice in, especially on Instagram, is I see a lot of like, before I actually commit to following a brand, and I see them for the first time, I'll see, is any of my friends following them? Does it say followed by XYZ person?
Yeah, social proof, peer driven. You want to know what your friends
it's
like.
It's like Instagram word of mouth, or influencers or authenticity, and that's super, super helpful for me, because then I see, oh, so-and-so likes this brand, they must be legit, or I might like them too as well. Instagram is also really beefing up a lot of their shopping capabilities. So I'm about to go on a vacation, which is why I'm dieting and really missing my King of Pops right now.
And fudge that you wanted?
It's a sea salt chocolate thing. It is amazing. It's amazing. Check it out if you're if you can. But what I will say is, I've been looking just for kind of like things for this vacation, and when you go to the search tab and you start to search for pieces, it'll bring up like shop on Instagram, and you can search for different types of clothing, accessories. You can even look at travel ideas, and a lot of brands, of course, are now integrating their Instagram account to their e-commerce platform, where then they can tag products in their photography, which is super helpful.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what we were talking about in terms of thinking about the full funnel with social and your other channels. You can do all those steps, given it depends on your product. I think if you've got an impulse product, you can do all those steps within Instagram itself. But for a lot of B2B brands and a lot of other brands, you'll need to figure out what is that connection to your own properties. But both are very powerful.
Or if you're selling a lifestyle, so like some of the brands I really like to follow, they're a much higher price point, but they're selling you on an experience, or an experience that you may want to take. So if you think about the popularity of like an Airbnb, like their Instagram channels don't necessarily promote products because, or locations. They're sharing, hey, you could be coming to this destination, or wouldn't it be great if you had a relaxing week someplace in this country or someplace in this city, right?
Yeah, to help with discovery.
And
inspiration.
My guess is that the majority of those metrics are really more towards awareness and engagement within the comment section. It's not necessarily .com driven. So it kind of depends on your brand, but if you're selling a specific piece, a product that's tangible and you need them to purchase, and it's not terribly expensive, Instagram can be a really great way to kind of build awareness and get people to consider it, for sure.
So you're in an interesting sort of meta role in that you run social for Mailchimp, right? But it's also something that your whole customer base is trying to solve, and they use Mailchimp for that. I'm in a similar role with Later. So I'd love to hear a little bit in terms of how you manage social. What metrics do you look at for Mailchimp and your team? What are you interested in? What are the goals that you set for your team and the targets?
Sure. We publish so much content within a month. We've got so many different products that obviously within the all-in-one marketing platform, and we do all this amazing lifestyle play too to kind of bring some joy, surprise, and delight individuals. We have a marketing calendar that spans many months, and within that is individual posts on individual channels, and within that we'll look at each individual post and say, what is the objective of this post? Are we trying to drive people to Mailchimp.com? Are we trying to drive just general awareness of something? So if we're talking about something like postcards as an example, that was brand new to us. So we had to make people familiar with the fact that Mailchimp offers this thing that's not in the digital space.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see. It's like a direct mail piece.
It's direct mail, yeah. And so like you can create it within Mailchimp, but then it's going to get out there in the world. And so that is like a lot of awareness, making people familiar with it. If it's something related to a product we've offered, like we've offered Facebook ads for a couple of years now, to us that's like we have to remind maybe our existing users and prospects, like you can do this within Mailchimp. Mailchimp, and so let's lead you to .com so that way you can hopefully then be inspired to go act on something, right? And then if it's like a fun piece of brand art, like, hey, we did this cultural thing with our employees, that's something going to be like likes, comments, shares, engagements, looking at like how people are kind of talking about our brand in general.
So it really depends on the content and what you're trying
Absolutely.
to achieve of what you look at. Having you here has been great. I can't let you go without talking about email. Obviously,
Sure.
that's the history of MailChimp.
Yeah.
And I'd love to dive into the relationship between email and Instagram, and any tips that you have in terms of how do they play off each other? What are their strengths? How can you use social to grow email?
Right. So if you are beginning and you don't have, let's say, a big audience within your newsletter list, so again, you can use social media and more than just Instagram, but Instagram's a great channel to be able to reach individuals, drive them to maybe a site that has a sign-up form, and that's something that MailChimp offers, to then build your list so that way you can continue communicating to them in multiple ways, right? You can also, once you've built that list, then be able to take that list and put it into Facebook or Instagram and retarget those individuals that are already fans of you. So that way they can see you on Facebook, they can see you through email, and you can also use that list to like find new people who are just like the people that already love you, which is great. So that can really be Instagram's role if you are a small business just starting out. Now, let's say hypothetically, you've been out for a couple of years, you've got a healthy base, and so you're looking to use Instagram in a much different way, right? And you might even have like a supporting members within your team at this point. You're not maybe just one or two people,
Right, yep.
right? In that case, Instagram offers a lot of like really great features to sell products through Instagram, right? So now you can like integrate your Instagram channel to your e-commerce platform, so that way you can actually tag products within a photo. It's going to take a little bit more time than just posting organically, so if you have additional support or you have the time to do that, that's a really great way to kind of marry your online store to your social media channels and see if you can drive direct transactions through social, which is great. And a lot of brands do this. Again, I know this because I've purchased way many of shirts on
Late at night,
Instagram.
those impulse buys.
Many of them, yeah, absolutely.
Those are some great tips. It was great spending some time with you,
Yeah.
and I really appreciate you coming all the way from Atlanta to spend time with us. So thank you very much, Jason, and that's it.